A klaxon blared through the Starship Valkyrie's corridors, jolting Captain Mira Thompson awake. She barely had time to blink before Echo, the ship's AI, projected its calm voice into her quarters. "Captain, we've detected an unidentified vessel approaching at high speed. Estimated arrival in 5 minutes." Mira swung her legs out of bed, her heart pounding with the urgency of the situation. Her fingers flew over the console, pulling up the sensor feed. The display filled with data, too much, too fast, but one thing stood out: the signature belonged to the Zerans. A cold dread settled in her chest. "Damn," she muttered, tapping her earpiece. "Brooks, report to the bridge. We've got company." Commander Elias Brooks responded almost instantly, his voice sharp and clear. "On my way, Captain." Mira threw on her uniform, the weight of it grounding her. This was the moment she had dreaded for months. The Zerans had been systematically wiping out human colonies, and now they were here, far too soon. She sprinted to the bridge, her mind racing. The Valkyrie was a veteran ship, toughened by countless battles, but it was old. The Zeran warship outclassed them in every way: firepower, speed, armor. The odds weren't just against them, they were near impossible. Brooks was already at his station when she arrived, his expression grim. He didn't need to say a word, the tension in the air was palpable. Mira took her seat, her eyes locking onto the view screen, where a faint dot marked the Zeran ship's approach. "Status report," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tightness in her chest. "Shields at maximum, weapons online," Brooks replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "But let's be honest, Captain, they outgun us 3-1. Mira nodded, processing the information. Retreat wasn't an option. The Valkyrie's engines weren't built for running. But she wasn't ready to surrender, not yet. "Options, Echo?" The AI paused for a split second, calculating. "A direct confrontation would be unwise. However, we could attempt a flanking maneuver using the debris field to our starboard. It may provide temporary cover." Mira considered the suggestion. The debris field was a graveyard of forgotten battles strewn with the remnants of ships like hers. It was risky, but it was their best shot. "Do it," she said, her voice firm. "Brooks, take us into the field. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The Valkyrie shuddered as it veered into the graveyard of steel and silence. Through the viewport, Mira watched as twisted hulls and shattered engines drifted past like ghosts of a forgotten war. Each piece told a story of sacrifice, of battles fought and lost. It was a sobering reminder of what lay ahead. The Zeran ship loomed larger on the screen, its dark, sleek form cutting through the void with predatory grace. Myra's pulse quickened, but she forced herself to remain calm. Panic wouldn't save them, only strategy would. "Echo, calculate firing solutions," Mira ordered. "We need to hit them where it hurts." "Understood, Captain," Echo responded. "Targeting their propulsion systems. We may have a chance to cripple them." Mira gripped the armrests of her chair, her knuckles white. This was it, their moment of truth. The Valkyrie's cannons hummed to life, their energy building as the targeting systems locked on. The Zeran ship was almost in range, oblivious to the trap. "Fire!" she commanded. The Valkyrie unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, streaking through the darkness like vengeful comets. The screen flared as they struck the Zeran ship's engines, but when the light faded, the enemy vessel remained intact, wounded, but far from defeated. Myra's breath caught in her throat as the Zeran ship began to turn, its weapons charging for a counterstrike. There was no time to think, only to act. The bridge shuddered violently as the Zeran salvo struck. The Valkyrie shields flared, absorbing the brunt of the attack, but the impact still rattled through the hull. Captain Mira Thompson clenched her jaw, her eyes glued to the status screens. The shields were holding, barely. "Damage report," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. Commander Brooks, steady despite the tremors, scanned the readouts. "Minor hull breaches in sections 12 and 15, but nothing critical. Shields down to 40%, one more hit like that, and we're done." Myra's mind raced. They couldn't withstand a direct confrontation much longer. The Zirans were relentless, their technology superior in every way. But she knew their arrogance could be their downfall. Brooks, execute Echo's flanking maneuver. Now. The Valkyrie lurched to starboard, diving deeper into the debris field. Twisted remnants of past battles filled the void, each a potential shield or hazard. The ship's thrusters roared, weaving between the jagged wreckage. The Ziran ship hesitated, recalibrating its sensors to track them through the metal graveyard. They're trying to get a lock on us, Brooks muttered, tension thick in his voice. Let them try, Mira replied, her tone colder than the void outside. Echo, keep us just out of their targeting range. Make them work for it. The AI responded with precision, adjusting their trajectory. The Valkyrie danced through the debris, using the floating hulks to mask its movements. Each second bought them time to find a weakness in the enemy's armor. Brooks glanced at her, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Mira, what's the plan here? We can't keep running forever. Mira met his gaze, steel in her expression. We're not running. We're luring them in. She could see the moment he understood. The Zirans were hunters by nature, predators used to victory through superior force. They wouldn't expect the Valkyrie to turn and fight, not when survival seemed so slim. Echo, Mira said, her voice steady. Prepare a full systems overload on my mark. Divert all remaining power to the forward cannons. Echo hesitated, a rare occurrence for the AI. Captain, such an action would leave us defenseless. Noted, Mira replied. But we won't need defense if we cripple them first. The Ziran ship loomed closer, its weapons charged, ready to obliterate the Valkyrie. Myra's heart pounded, but she remained focused. Timing was everything. She waited until the last possible moment, the Ziran vessel almost within striking distance. Now, Echo! The Valkyrie surged forward, its thrusters burning at maximum capacity. The sudden burst of speed caught the Zirans off guard, their targeting systems scrambling to adjust. In that split second of confusion, the Valkyrie's cannons roared to life, discharging a concentrated blast directly at the enemy's exposed flank. The explosion lit up the void, sending shockwaves through the debris field. For a brief moment, silence reigned on the bridge. Then the sensors flickered, showing the Ziran ship listing, its engines crippled and its weapons silenced. Brooks let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Direct hit, Captain? They're dead in the water. Mira allowed herself a grim smile. Good. Let's finish this. But before she could give the order, the Valkyrie's systems flickered. Echo's voice cut through the air, strained with an urgency Mira had never heard before. Captain, multiple energy signatures detected, unknown origin. They're converging on our position. Myra's blood ran cold. They weren't out of the fight yet. Whatever was coming next, it wasn't friendly. The Valkyrie's lights flickered as Echo rerouted power to the sensors. Captain Mira Thompson gripped the armrest of her command chair, her knuckles white. The unknown energy signatures were closing in fast, and every second felt like an eternity. Echo, what are we dealing with? Myra's voice was calm, but the urgency beneath it was unmistakable. Analyzing now. The AI responded, its tone laced with tension. The signatures don't match any known Ziran configurations. Their energy readings are anomalous. Anomalous? Commander Brooks echoed, his brow furrowed. What does that even mean? It means we're blind, Mira said, frustration creeping into her voice. Until we know what's out there, we're sitting ducks. The bridge crew worked in tense silence, each officer focused on their station. Myra's mind raced through possibilities, but nothing added up. The Zirans were formidable, but they didn't rely on unknown technology. This was something different, something unexpected. Captain, Brooks said, breaking the silence, we could attempt a retreat. If we power down the main systems, we might slip away undetected. Mira shook her head. No. Whatever's out there, it's already locked onto us. Running would only give them the advantage. Before Brooks could reply, the view screen flared to life, revealing a formation of sleek, dark vessels emerging from the shadows. They were unlike any ships Mira had seen, organic in design, with smooth, curving hulls that seemed to pulse with a faint, eerie light. "Echo," Mira said, her voice tight. "Are those ships broadcasting any signals?" "Negative, Captain. They're silent, no comms, no hails. It's as if they're observing us." Myra's eyes narrowed. The new arrivals hadn't attacked, but their presence was menacing. She could feel the tension on the bridge, the unspoken fear that this might be the end of the line. "Options, Brooks," Mira ordered. "Not many," Brooks replied grimly. "We can't fight them, not in this condition. Our best bet might be to—" A sudden jolt rocked the ship, cutting him off. Alarms blared as the Valkyrie's systems struggled to compensate. Myra's heart raced as she checked the status displays. The mysterious ships hadn't fired, but something had just hit them. "Echo, report," Mira demanded. "It wasn't a direct attack," Echo replied. "They've locked us in some sort of energy field. Our engines are offline, and shields are rapidly failing." The situation was spiraling out of control. The Valkyrie was defenseless, trapped, and at the mercy of an unknown enemy. Mira forced herself to think, to find a way out, but every option seemed to end in disaster. Then, out of the darkness, a transmission crackled through the comms, an ancient, metallic voice that sent chills down Myra's spine. "Surrender the vessel. You are trespassing in restricted space." Mira exchanged a look with Brooks. Whoever, or whatever, was out there had made contact, but surrender wasn't an option. Not now, not ever. "Echo, open a channel," Mira ordered. Her voice was steady, but inside she steeled herself for what was to come. "This is Captain Mira Thompson of the Earth vessel Valkyrie. We don't surrender. State your intentions, or prepare for resistance." There was a pause, then the voice responded, colder than before. "Resistance is futile. Your kind will not survive." The channel went dead, and the ships began to close in. Mira took a deep breath, her mind racing for a solution. The odds were grim, but she wasn't ready to give up, not when humanity's survival was at stake. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," she commanded. "If they want to fight, we'll give them one." As the Valkyrie system struggled back to life, Mira knew the next few moments would determine everything. She wasn't just fighting for her crew, she was fighting for all of humanity. The stakes had never been higher, and failure wasn't an option. The Valkyrie shook violently as the energy field constricted, crushing the ship's defenses. Sparks flew from overloaded consoles, and the lights dimmed as power surged and ebbed. Captain Mira Thompson gripped the armrest, her mind racing through strategies. Time was running out. "Echo, status report," Mira shouted above the alarms. "Shields at 5% and falling. Weapons are offline. Hull integrity is compromised." The AI responded, its usual calm replaced by a sense of urgency. Commander Brooks wiped blood from a cut on his forehead, his eyes filled with determination. "Captain, we can't hold up much longer. We need to act now." Myra's gaze shifted to the view screen, where the alien ships loomed closer, their eerie glow intensifying. Their ultimatum echoed in her mind: surrender or be destroyed. But surrender was never an option. "Echo, divert all remaining power to the engines," Mira ordered, her voice resolute. "We're going to break free, even if it means tearing this ship apart." Brooks' eyes widened. "Captain, that's a suicide run. The engines can't handle the strain." "Then we make them handle it," Mira snapped, cutting him off. "I'm not letting them take us without a fight." There was a moment of silence as the crew processed her decision. Then, with grim resolve, they sprang into action. The hum of the Valkyrie's engines grew louder, vibrating through the ship as the power levels climbed dangerously high. "Engines at critical capacity," Echo warned. "We only have one shot at this." Myra's hands tightened on the armrests. "All hands brace for impact." "On my mark." Suddenly, a blinding light filled the view screen, and the alien ships began to tremble, their formations breaking apart. The energy field flickered, then dissipated. For a split second, everything was still. Then, a deep, Resonant voice thundered through the calms. This is the ESS Liberty. Reinforcements have arrived. Relief washed over Mira as the massive Earth battleship appeared, its cannons blazing, tearing through the alien vessels with surgical precision. The Valkyrie, battered but still intact, jolted forward as the engine surged to full power, breaking free from the last remnants of the energy field. Captain Thompson, the voice from the Liberty continued, we've neutralized the threat. Stand down and prepare for extraction. Mira exhaled slowly, the tension easing from her shoulders. Acknowledged, Liberty. Standing down? She turned to Brooks, a weary smile on her face. Looks like we lived to fight another day. Brooks grinned back, the weight of impending doom lifted. That was one hell of a gamble, Captain. Mira leaned back in her chair, the adrenaline finally ebbing. Sometimes, Commander, that's all we have. As the Liberty moved into position to dock, Mira allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had been on the brink of destruction, outmatched and outgunned, but they had refused to give in. Humanity's resilience, their unyielding spirit, had carried them through once again. Echo, Mira said softly. Send a report to Fleet Command. Let them know the Valkyrie and her crew are still in the fight. Report sent, Captain. The AI replied, its tone regaining its usual calm. Mira closed her eyes briefly, feeling the steady thrum of the Valkyrie beneath her. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. Yet as long as they had breath in their lungs, they would continue the fight. For humanity.